I make too many jokes about Tom, and I shouldn't do that. Because he is a wonderful human being. He actually went to UCLA Medical Center and offered to donate his organs, for transplants. He did. And the doctors told him he should have come years ago at the moment of his death. So I'm not going to do any more jokes, Tom. I've been taking a nightly poll on the state of the economy, as you know if you've been watching the show. Tell me tonight, just raise your hand, how many for the past few weeks have been living on stolen tuna fish? All righty. What else is happening today? Everybody's in trouble, really. You mentioned you read the front page of the paper today and you can't find anything that's very happy. And I heard something tragic today. Elliot Janeway is down to 5 months' income. Yes, I don't know what happened to his 6 months, but he's going down. Anyway, I passed by the unemployment office today and ran into an out-of-work magician. Now, he's having it real tough. He had to cut back on his act. He says the big finish to his act now. He reaches in a top hat and pulls out a sweatband. That's all he can't afford to wrap. Seriously, folks. President,
Ford.
Ford, thanks. That's right. He just found quickly. How you doing? Well, I didn't get to cast a vote. It's not easy. He's invited leaders of Congress today to a White House breakfast. And things are getting tight there. It was a BYOB. Bring your own bacon. Breakfast at the White House. But he is having a series of meetings with congressional leaders about the economy. He's had breakfast meetings, luncheon meetings, and dinner meetings, all to discuss our starvation. If he really wants to do something, why don't they invite us to breakfast, lunch, or dinner at the White House, and we'll go. He invited Alan Greenspan and William Simon to breakfast because he's running out of breakfast squares. These aren't good days for the president, and not too good for me either. No, during breakfast this morning, I understand President Ford lifted up the lid on the parquet margarine box, and a little voice inside said, "Democrat." President Ford said he was, it wasn't that he was disappointed that the leaders didn't support his, his programs, but they never asked him for a second cup of coffee. And that hurt him.
Wow. That's what they want.
They want dancing. Speaking of trouble, the Los Angeles Lakers. What a blend. I went to a school for blends. Did you know that? To get from one joke to another, yes. It's the Sonny Jackie School of Blends. And you learn to go from one joke to another. Los Angeles Lakers are our basketball team out here. Quotes. No, they've been having a bad... They've lost 12 out of the last 14 games. They've been in the cellar so long that their coach is a wine steward. Did you know that? No, but the Lakers said their game plans are foolproof, except when the other team pulls a surprise move, like sending in a tall player. No, not yet. Well, let's see. I probably should tell you in all fairness what you could be watching instead of this show right now.
You think there's still time?
You mean it may be too late? They may have already been there. That's kind of cute. Merv Griffin is having another one of his wonderful theme shows. He has the Jackson Five, the Brady Bunch, and the King family, all discussing sharing a bathroom. That is the theme show that's on tonight, and that's the last. I don't even have a finish to get out of this. Just absolutely no finish.
Oh, there's a visitor coming.
We hope. Who's coming?
From the east.
Tonight?
Tonight, yes.
Sure.
What a night for him to be here.
That's certainly the right crowd for Carnac to show up. He'll be here anyway, though. I guess that's all I have. Oh, shut up. We have a grand show tonight. We have a most talented lady. Lily Tomlin is with us tonight. And she is... a gentleman who was with us some years ago on the Tonight Show and is kind of retired now, or semi-retired, but one of the fine actors, Mr. Walter Slezak, is going to join us. We have Crazy Jerry Van Dyke and a gentleman I invited to stay over from last night's show, Mr. Sam Blotner. I invited Sam back.
Hey, Crazy Sam.
To try to tell us what the hell Sam was talking about last night. He's an interesting gentleman, and he'll be here to follow up on the saga of Costa Rica. So thanks for coming. We'll be right back. We'll be back after this. Thank you.
Well, friends, he's here, and the excitement it's caused with this audience is phenomenal. The famous sage, seer, soothsayer, all omniscient, all-knowing, all-seeing, and former diplomacy advisor to Earl Butts, Carnac the Magnet! The injured here on the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see you again. You always say that, and I always forget exactly what it means. Sim Salabim.
My three sons. Sim Salabim.
I hold in my hands the envelopes. These envelopes, a child of 4 can plainly see, are hermetically sealed. They've been kept in a mayonnaise jar in Funkenwaggle's porch since noon today. No one knows the answer to these questions, but you, in your incredible way, will ascertain the answers without ever before having heard the question. Is that about it, sir? Won't you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you forget this bit?
Yes, I'm going to
See, when you wear the turban, that's what this is. Envelope number 1.
May we have silence,
Yes.
please?
Hermetically sealed.
I know, and I will divine the answers
Yes.
to the question.
Mayonnaise jar, Funkenwaggle's porch, noon today.
And I have not seen this.
No one has seen it. No one knows the answer. But you will divine it.
Let me get going here. The answer is 2 for the road.
2 for the road.
That's the answer. Question, how many Chryslers have been sold this year? Wine and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Wine and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Name the 2 things that are in the cellar. May the best meal you ever eat consist of kitty litter chips. Dead end.
Dead end.
What does a dentist get if he backs into a Novocaine needle? Peat moss.
Peat moss.
What grows on the north side of a guy named Pete? What?
Just
High wire. What do you call a Western Union marijuana-gram? May May a vindictive camel leave a holy relic in your granolas. Diamond Head. What does Liz Taylor have on her yacht? Diamond Head. True Grit.
True Grit.
I said. What goes into an NBC commissary hamburger? Drawbridges. What does an artist do when he sketches old people's teeth? May a desert nomad do a desert no-no to your sister? What number is this?
You were divining. I can almost see you divining.
I was divining. T.S. Eliot.
T.S. Eliot.
What do you say to Elliot Janeway when his savings account runs out?
I hold in my hand the last envelope.
May that crazed lizard unravel your underwear.
It's a living.
Shake up. What's a drink made with 7-Up and prune juice? Shake up wouldn't be right, would it? Okay, here we go.
Oh.
I should mention I open a week from tonight. This is Thursday, isn't it?
Yes.
In Las Vegas, you're coming up?
I will be there.
We'll be at,
the entire staff is going to be there.
At Caesar's Palace, and I am not doing Carnac at Caesar's Palace. I know, but...
You do a whole series of those shake-up jokes.
No. I don't understand that at all. There was nothing there. There's got to be a typo. That had to be a typo.
No, you read it nicely. It was good timing.
Read it swell, but I realized when I said, this is a typo. Just anything.
Well, sometimes you can't divine the questions if they don't work on the typewriter.
What am I, of course. Lily Tomlin is a most talented young lady. Ever since she started on Laugh-In, she has developed tremendously, created a series of wonderful characters that she does, ranging from Edith Ann, as you know, to Ernestine and many others. And this Friday, she's going to be doing a special called Lily. Is it on this network? It's not on this network. But nevertheless...
We help everyone.
It will be on. Would you welcome Lily Tomlin? How are you?
I'm just fine.
It's so great to have you here, really.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I saw you doing one night, I think, with Dick Cavett from one of the universities.
Yes.
Maryland or something? Was it Maryland?
University of Maryland.
And you were sensational.
Why, thanks.
Aren't those great crowds? Do you like to work
yeah,
the college?
I love them, yes.
They're
the best.
Yeah, the kids nowadays, kids, I shouldn't say that, but the young people in college are so hip as to what's going on.
And they're just so enthusiastic, so they make a wonderful audience.
Yeah. Do you like the you like the question and answer thing you do with them? The ad-lib type of stuff?
Yes, I don't normally do that. I usually, when I do a college concert, I usually do Edith Ann with questions.
Right.
I can talk much better as Edith Ann than as myself.
Do you feel more secure? That's interesting.
No, I mean, Edith Ann has a certain, I can talk out of Edith Ann's life, you know.
If I could say...
More interestingly, I would say, than my own.
In other words, if I said what's the most embarrassing thing that happened to you, as Edith Ann, something would come to you easier than...
Yeah, something would come to me. And it would be a horrible incident. Because it happened when my dog Buster, see, what happened was...
Yeah.
I was giving Buster a little bath. And accidentally some Clorox fell in.
Oh, in the bath?
Yes, and all his hairs fell out. And now whenever I go near him, he just goes... It wasn't so embarrassing as it was horrible.
You have a great ear. Before you did laugh in, where did you get your experience?
Oh, I started, I was in New York, and first I was in college in Detroit, and I discovered that I did vignettes and characters, you know. I hadn't realized that I did before I got into a college show, and I saw what amounted to material, and I realized that I had always invented stuff like that.
Do you remember the first time you were in front of a group and you got a genuine laugh from something you did, and all of a sudden you realized, hey, maybe I'm...
No, I'll tell you when that happens to me is when I'm a child. See, I'm sure all this was tied up with my father, for instance, because when I was a kid, and I lived in this old apartment house, and we lived in a basement apartment. And upstairs from us lived a woman named Mrs. Spear, who worked in the daytime, and her husband worked nights. So she'd come home from work about 4 or 5 o'clock, and we'd be fixing to have supper because my father worked in the factory, so we'd eat very early, like 5 o'clock or something. And my mother was always very nice and very pleasant and willing to please. And Mrs. Spear would ring our doorbell every night, and my mother would go to the foot of the stairs of this basement apartment, and she'd look up, and she'd ring Mrs. Spear in, and then Mrs. Spear would say, "Oh, Mrs. Tomlin, I'm so sorry to have to ring your bell again tonight, but I forgot my key." And then she'd say, "Something smells good." So my mother would say, "Well, come on down and have a bite to eat with us," see? So Mrs. Spear would eat dinner with us 2 or 3 times a week. And whenever she'd leave, my father wouldn't say a word. He'd sit over on the side like this, He'd sit eating, and he wouldn't say a word to Mrs. Spear. And then every time she'd leave, he'd say, "If old lady Spear eats supper with us one more time, I'm going to give her a piece of my mind." So the next day, when Mrs. Spear rang the doorbell, I was about 5 or 6 years old, and my mother couldn't get to the door first. And I ran and answered it, and I told Mrs. Spear what my father's true feelings.
As 5-year-old children are wont to do.
Yes,
right.
and it was, and while my mother was horrified, and it humiliated her, my father rather applauded it in a covert way. And so I think that was when I got on to, since we got off on this subject.
Yeah.
I can remember 2 other incidents where, and it was in the 3rd grade, and one was in kindergarten and one was in 3rd grade.
Do you remember clear back to kindergarten?
Oh, sure.
I don't. I have people who can say they can remember when they were a year old, and I never can understand that. Or 2 years.
Well, one incident was I would go to the country, because my mother and daddy were from Kentucky, and we would go to the farm in the summer. And when I would come back, whenever I would draw or paint animals, I would always draw body parts on them. I would draw milk bags on cows, and I would draw penises on horses and things.
Well, they do have them.
Yes, and I would draw them. I would indicate that they had body parts, And I remember my teachers being highly amused.
And highly stimulated, I might add. So, Disney's animals never have body parts. Did you know that?
So I can remember those things. Those things must have been not only provocative to me, but to those adults around me as well.
That's interesting you would do that at that age. Did you ever notice in the Disney pictures that the animals never have those parts of the bodies at all?
No.
It must confuse a lot of children, when they first see a horse or a cow or a chipmunk. Strange animal. We have to take a little break here to pick up something, but we're coming back. Sure we are. If you just happen to join us, we're talking with Lily Tomlin. We have Jerry Van Dyke and Walter Slezak and Mr. Sam Blotner with us. Did you meet Sam, Mr. Blotner?
Yes, I said hello to him.
Yeah, he's an interesting man. We're talking about your family and family background. This may seem like a naive question. I'm sure you get it a lot of times. The success you've had, how does your family relate to that? Very often you get strange reactions. When offspring becomes very successful, you go back home. Sometimes your friends change in relation to you.
Well, that I think is true. I think because for a lot of friends, I don't think I have any friends basically left. I mean, that I really still relate to. You asked me something, and I can get off on such a tangent. I started to talk about one person I really do still love and communicate with is a woman that lived in our old apartment house.
Mrs. Spear?
No, this is
forget.
Someone else. I won't mention her name because she'll crack up anyway, but she's about 15 years older than I am. So when she was 25, I was about 10, and she was divorced, see. Mm-hmm. She was one of the few divorced women in our building. And she was...
that considered very...
not bad, unless you were suffering quite a bit.
Oh, that's right.
So she didn't suffer too much. Her boyfriend slept over, And she was quite attractive anyway, and so she was the building hussy, really. And she never was invited to the...
word for a long time.
Right. She was literally the building hussy and was not invited to the Tupperware parties.
Oh, no. What rejection.
And I loved her so much, and I still do, and we had I just could relate to her so much, and enjoyed her so much, and so I'm still friends with her. Now, she's one person that truly... I can still identify. I don't know.
She's still living back in the building?
No. She's left there long, long ago.
Yeah.
And lives in another part of the world and all. Another part of Detroit. But my family, of course, loved the fact that I got famous.
Yeah.
And I have so many things I could tell you. I don't even know where to start. Like, for instance, just when I flashed on. When I was telling you that other story earlier about the animals and mentioning body parts, I was down visiting my mother in Kentucky, and I was going to do a college concert nearby in Missouri. And it was very close to Paducah, where my mother lived, so all my relatives were going to come. I know they didn't want to come, basically, because, first of all, it was like about an hour-and-a-half drive, and the Mississippi and the Ohios were swollen to flood levels. And most of them have to get up and milk in the morning. So they have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and to be out late is a big hardship. But anyway, and I didn't want them to come because I was afraid I would have to censor my act.
Well, you don't get really racy, do you?
No, I don't, but I say body parts, just like I said the word breasts on my last special a year ago, and I was sitting in my mother's living room in Kentucky, and she went, oh! Did you have to say that?
That's still no-no, right?
No, and not supposed to say body parts.
Oh.
So I didn't censor my act, I forgot, actually. I was in a torment backstage before it started, and 50 of my relatives were sitting in the front row. And after I got started and I was on such a roll with the audience, I forgot,
So you just went right ahead.
I just went ahead and did nothing in my act is gratuitous in that sense. It's really elevated and tasteful.
Body parts and all. Body parts can be tasteful.
Well.
And elevated. Hold it. You see, now that is your joke, and you're responsible for that. I certainly did. You can talk about in a tasteful manner. That's what you were saying.
Or in a truthful manner.
In a truthful manner. That was the word that should have been in there. Sorry about that. No, I'm not sorry. It's your fault.
They've only cheapened themselves.
That's right. They've lowered themselves. They'll feel smaller in the morning for it. That's wrong also, isn't it? You see? When you're wrong, everything starts to go wrong, no matter what you say. Excuse me, I'm sorry I didn't make that. So, your relatives, how did they react to all this?
Well, they were very kindly to me and polite and sort of patted me and went on, and I was suffering, feeling guilty because I knew they had to get up in the morning and all. And so the next morning, my Aunt Odie Mae, who's really wonderful.
Odie Mae?
Yeah, and she's my daddy's oldest sister. And she called me up and she said, well, I guess there was kitchen lights on all over Ballard County last night talking about you. But I told R.Y. I'm very well acquainted with those words.
You were forgiven.
Well, I was forgiven by her.
You've got a good background to draw on.
Oh, they're
everybody
they're
does
really
when they
wonderful.
do. You draw on for your relatives,
Wait, let me tell you what my father says when I first got on Laugh. I told this story on my first special a couple of years ago, but I never got any real true reaction to it. To me, it's just a poem, you know. But I had just been on Laugh in 5 or 6 weeks, and the phone operator had made me very well known, and he was very tickled by it. And I went to visit him in Indiana. He and my mother had moved there, and so he took us all out to dinner. But we went to it's really like a tavern, but a tavern that has a lot of wood in it, so it's kind of high class.
Right, I know the difference.
And
Called something like Ye Old Tavern.
Ye Old, right, but it has octagonal tiles on the floor, and a very lot of dark wood, and you can get shrimp, chicken, barbecued chicken.
It takes it out of the bar category.
Ribs.
Yeah.
It takes it out of the bar category, right? Because you can have dinner there in a sense, but everything comes in a plastic basket. But it's really quite wonderful. So my daddy, so we're all sitting there, and he fixed up the lady upstairs with a fella he worked with at the factory, and we were all sitting there, and the waitress came over, and all the Tomlins talk in that kind of voice like that I told that's why Odie Mae talks just like my father.
Yeah.
They just happen to talk that way. So my father calls the waitress over, and he says, "Who do you think that is?" Pointing to me. And I've been on Laugh in about 6 weeks, And nobody knows that this is this. So she gets down and she looks in my face, because me and my daddy look just alike, and she said, "Well, I guess that's your daughter." I says, "Yeah, you're damn right. Get up and sing a song, babe." And I said, "Oh, Papa, please, I don't want to. I can't." And he said, "Babe, get up and sing a song for the people." I said, "Please, Papa, I don't want to. I'm too embarrassed." And he said, "Babe, you got to learn how to be popular."
Well, your dad's proud of you. That's all. That's natural.
Yeah, sure.
Get up and sing.
So I told that on my first special because it seemed so classic, the idea of trying to embark on a network television career, and you must learn how to be popular.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. We have to do this, and we're coming back. Just one moment. Stay with us. We're back. You're spending a good timer with Lily Tomlin. Of all the characters you've done, most of them, of course, come out of experience. I think I've heard you tell the story before when you do the gal who's at the checkout counter. Dot, isn't that her name?
Yes.
That you actually went down to a market, observed...
I worked as a checker for 3 or 4 days at an Alpha Beta in Burbank.
Really went down?
Yes, it was the one at Whitsett and... is it Whitsett and Burbank, I guess?
I think that's my favorite one.
Isn't it? It's really great. I love it. It's extremely well stocked.
Oh, good.
I said to Maurice, who is the manager there, I said, "I wish this Alpha Beta were near me. It's so well stocked."
Yeah. So you went in and actually picked up all the
Yes, I did. Because I wanted to become proficient on the cash register. And I did... It's just that I couldn't really... it was a neighborhood where there's a lot of older people, and so they're on fixed incomes, I'm sure. And it was really... people...
Kind of sad at times when people are looking...
Not really sad, because the human beings are just too gutsy and terrific, to be that sad. It's just that the spirit is terrific, but it is sort of delicate, because people line up for day-old bread. And although I think buying day-old bread is the only intelligent thing to do. Because you buy of course, you buy a loaf of bread and pay 70 cents for it or something, and the next day you've got 2/3 of it left and it's still day old. You might as well buy day old,
Yeah, but then the third day, it's 3 days old at once. Go away. But I see what you mean. No, I think you're right. I used to work in a supermarket one time, yeah. Stamping cans. Boy, is that boring.
Oh, I would like that. I always wanted to do that.
Oh, yeah, but after about 14 cases, you don't care any of you stamping people going by. Crack your head. It's not the most creative work in the whole world, If you can find the top or the bottom of the can, you're ahead of the game. Are you working on anybody new? Any new characters?
No, but I was going to, after I mentioned that, darn it, now I don't know what to do.
What?
I don't know which way to turn at this moment.
Turn anyway? You turn to the right there.
Well, I was going to do a little bit of supermarket, but it didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
sure.
no, wait a second.
Do whatever you like.
This is because I couldn't tell anything really humorous about working at the Alpha Beta, you know, other than the fact that I stole a steak and a roll of adhesive tape. Oh, no, I'm just kidding,
No,
Maurice.
you didn't do that, yes.
And so I was going to do this.
Did you ever
little bit.
shoplift anything?
Oh,
When you were a
many
kid?
times. Yes. In fact, I faced great humiliation more than once.
Sorry. No,
I don't like to talk freely about having shoplifted because it gives people, sounds like I'm advocating it.
yes,
you
and
know?
I heard once we talked about it on the air one night, excuse me for interrupting, and I got a letter from the president of Department Stores of America, something saying, please don't make that look like it's a lighted thing because it's billions of dollars a year.
Yes, it is, right. But one thing I'm getting off the track, but when I was in Detroit, I had shoplifted at J.L. Hudson, which is the biggest department store in Detroit. Why I'm revealing this, I don't know.
Because I'm your friendly doctor type. You tell me
Well, I'd
anything.
only done it because it was. I actually wanted to see what it was like. You know, I wanted to see what the experience was like because I didn't try to do a slick job. I did a very bungled job so that I would get apprehended. And as a matter of fact, I did. And the woman said, it was wintertime and she had on a light topper, so I knew that she was not a true shopper. You know, walking around the store in like a raincoat and it was 20 below outside. And she said, walk this way, keep smiling, no one is going to embarrass you. Keep walking this way, keep smiling, no one is going to embarrass you. Keep smiling, keep walking this way, no one is going to embarrass you. Anyway, they did embarrass me, and I gave up the item that I had shoplifted, and then I smiled and laughed and horsed around and said, well, and they knew me, and then they realized that I was an actress, a local actress, and I said I wanted to see what it felt like to be apprehended. And then, but they still put my name down on the card and put it in a file, you know, and I was just mortified. But then years later, after I got on Laugh-In, I did a record signing party in the record department. And in my mind was always the fact that downstairs in the security department was my name on file.
Shoplifter, Tomlin, Lily.
But anyway, all right, do I have time or not? Do you have to break?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just do this one real fast. This is like Dot, this is Dot, the supermarket checker, and Edith Ann is coming through the line. Edith Ann is the little child.
This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef.
And this little piggy was the one back there on aisle 6 making the sour cream dip for her Fritos, wasn't you, Edith Ann?
No.
Then you was the one back there making a peanut butter sandwich.
No, I was the one back there reading this comic book and eating cookies.
Well, let's see now. What you got in this cart? Popcorn, peanuts, cupcakes. Who told you to get all this stuff?
The man on TV.
Well, now, Edith Ann, I can take all this other stuff back, but you have eaten the entire contents of this box of animal crackers. Don't you think you ought to pay for it?
No, Dot. I didn't do nothing honest.
You looked me straight in the eye. Did you or did you not open up this box of animal crackers?
Yes. But when I looked inside, there wasn't nothing there. They had eaten up each other.
My heart's pounding slightly.
Perfect line for
Because I
child,
told
though,
about
isn't it true?
shoplifting.
Yes, well, don't worry about it. We should do a disclaimer. Don't go around shoplifting, because you'll be embarrassed, but keep smiling. You see a lady in a raincoat in Hudson's and it's winter, don't take nothing. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. It's a pleasure to have Walter Slezak back with us tonight. He was with us some years ago, but he is kind of retired now, whatever kind of retired means. But he won a Tony in 1955 for his role in Fanny. He's had a most illustrious career. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Walter Slezak? Hey, it's so good to see you.
So wonderful to be here and not want anything.
Not wanting nothing to
I have
plug.
no show to sell. I have no opening.
No
I have
movies, no books,
nothing.
no plugs, no
I'm
records.
just here to talk.
Well, I'm glad, and it's great to see you again. How many years ago was it that you were with us?
Well, I remember the day I met you. It was October the 1st, 1962.
That was a day.
Vincent Sardi was opening a restaurant in Greenwich called the Showboat, and I met you there, and you were a very nervous and shaky young man because then you were going to town to do your first taped show after you took over from Jack Park.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, I know it.
October. I don't know why I'm arguing with you. You're absolutely right. But you were with us on the show once because I remember you telling a story.
Was it dirty?
No. It was a funny story that had to do with an autobiography about swans. Right?
Oh, yes. That old thing.
No, I
There's
don't.
a beard like that.
There was a very strange thing about Lohengrin or something.
No, my father was a famous opera singer.
Right.
And you want to lead me into it?
No, you don't have to do that now. We can talk about that later, but I remember that from the show.
Yes. My father was a famous opera singer, and he sang Lohengrin. And for those who do not know the opera, Lohengrin is a knight of the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is in Spain, but the opera takes place in the Netherlands. And he arrives, evidently from Spain, in a boat standing up, and the boat is drawn by a swan, which is an unlikely form of locomotion. And my father was backstage, ready to step into that boat with the swan, when the stagehand on the other side got his signals crossed and started pulling. And the boat left without him, and he turned around and said, "What time's the next swan?"
I couldn't remember the punchline, but that's one of the great stories of all the time.
But a couple of months ago, there's something very funny that happened. A Russian prima donna sang La Tosca. And in Russia, they were not used to use real candles next to the body of Scarpia. Huh? And she planted the candles, and her wig caught fire.
Oh?
And it was flame, and suddenly Scarpia, from his deathbed, he was already dead, jumped up, took her wig off, planted on it, and lay down again. I think she was the wife of this famous cellist. I don't know. I only am interested in Russian dances that escape.
That would put a kind of a damper on the rest of the opera, wouldn't it? Did the audience ever
The
recover?
first time in the history of Tosca that the second that curtain went down with a laugh.
That's hysterical. That's hysterical. Are you really fully retired now from acting?
Well, yes, I'm more or less retired. I've lost some weight up here. The body part is still here. And it all sank down, you see. Behind the counter, I look wonderful.
You just all kind of lowered center of gravity.
I'm sorry, I haven't covered this up.
Yeah. Are you living in Switzerland now?
We live in Switzerland. We live in Lugano. And it's
I've never been there, but I understand
it's a beautiful place. It has mountains and a lake and lots of old people. Actually, I would say it's a open-air cemetery, you know? It's a little bit like Florida, you know? And a lot of senior citizens like myself. In 27 years, I'll be 100. They are living there, and I instigated amongst our circle of friends a rule that there's a penalty to be paid every time you mention a doctor. Doctor's bills, lawyer's bills, prostata, that costs 35 francs. Hysterectomy is only 10 francs because they're all old people, they've had it, you know? And so forth. Now, you have to kind of narrow your circle of conversation, your sphere of conversations, because otherwise you talk of nothing but disease and death and how to cheat on the income tax and how to cheat on the death taxes and how to avoid death taxes completely. It's the general tone there.
Yeah. It sounds like quite a place. How do you spend most of your time? You just with your friends?
Well, I tell you, I'm very lazy. I have a writer's block for the last 7 years. And I'm working on a book. It started out with a short story about a dog. Our dog is called Amos, and the book was called My Name is Amos, I'm an Only Dog. And this has become just a chapter. But I had a dog once in New York. He was called Angel Face. It was an English bulldog, 80 pounds of ugliness. And I walked with him in Central Park, and suddenly he was gone. He was off the leash, and I saw that something was moving in a bush. And when I came closer, he was raping a thoroughbred white fox terrier dog.
At least he's selective.
God, what do you do now? And just then a man came, Daisy, Daisy. And he saw what happened and froze. And he turned to me and said, why isn't your dog muzzled? We are on the air, so I can't tell you my answer.
Would you tell me later? Because there's got to be a dandy. Yeah. I didn't know there's such a thing as rape or even statutory rape among dogs.
Well, I don't know it was rape, but anyway, the end effect was the same.
Yeah, interesting. You lived out here in Hollywood when what they refer to, and people get it almost the good old days or the glamour days, and people say that.
The good old days, and I
worked with
earned a lot of money, and I saved it. That's why I can retire. Actually, I'm here in America to eat up my pensions. You see, I'm getting a pension from Screen Actors Guild, from AFTRA, from Equity, and from Social Security.
That's nice.
And I do not have the heart to put $1 down and get 2 francs and 39 centimes for $1. About 2.5 years ago, it used to be 4 francs and 33 centimes. Mm-hmm. So I had accumulated here for a couple of years, and now I'm eating it up.
And you come over and visit your money.
That makes it possible for me to be on your show.
That's great. What would it be in francs now? What's our scale now for the show? What do we pay?
$4.20.
What do you mean, $4.20?
$4.20 to the dollar? No, it's $2.40. $2.40. Swiss francs. Yes. Oh no, not French francs.
No.
Big currency.
Do we have to pay Walter in Swiss francs tonight?
No. I'm getting paid in dollars, and I'm going to eat them up right on the train back.
Yeah. When people lived in those days, you said you saved your money. There were a lot of people who didn't, because in those days
I know many friends
made thousands and thousands of dollars and spent it.
I did a picture once in Lebanon, and there's a casino, and one of my co-stars was a very, very talented actor. And we had to bail him out. He got $35,000 for the picture, and he lost it one night.
At the casino?
Huh? At the casino, yes. So, thank God I never did this.
Yeah.
And we live a very good life out there. My wife is a ceramist. She has her own kiln and her own wheel.
That's great.
And she even sells. And I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch if the cone is falling. And it's a good life.
It seems like you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And you deserve it. Yeah. Let me take a small break, and we'll be right back here.
Schlitz brews there? Oh.
Schlitz brews, you can do this. Schlitz brews their beer to taste the best, and why not? Jerry Van Dyke is here tonight. He is a silly person. He's a silly person. And he'll be opening at the Safari Hotel in Phoenix, Arizona on Monday for a week. Then he'll be up at Harrah's and Lake Tahoe beginning the 18th of March. Would you welcome Jerry Van Dyke?
Thank you. Just for once, I'd like to be able to follow the bring-on music. We got a guy back home does a local kiddie show, and he really oughtn't to be doing it. He likes to dip in the sauce a little too much. And I'd like to give you a sample of one of his shows. His name's Buckaroo Barney. Now, when he comes out, he usually works with a studio full of kids, so if you folks will help me out when Barney says hello, yell back, "Hi, Barney." Make him feel better. Well, boys and girls, it's 4 o'clock and time once again for your friend and mine, Buckaroo Barney. Hey, kids! Hey, kids! How are you today, boys? You both buddy, Buck Barney. You boys and girls have to excuse Barney a little bit this afternoon, but Buckaroo Barney is a little tired. I went across the street for lunch and got a little tired. You think I'm tired? You want to see Betty Wilson, the weather girl. She's really tired. She's still over there getting more tired. Don't miss that 6 o'clock weather. Well, kids, looks like we got a great show for you today. There we got a Hop-Along Kiss movie. But before the movie, what do you say? Let's all say hello to our little old buddy, Popo the Frog. Huh? Huh? Where's Popo today, kids?
Where's Popo hiding? Popo, where's Popo? Where's the hand puppet? Oh, I got it. There you go. There he is. There he is! Oh, jeez. How are you today, Popo? Fine. You want to say hello to all boys and girls out there? Read it. Well, what do you say? What do you say? Let's read some of the letters the kids sent us in today. Okay, Popo? Bye-bye. Here's the letter here. Here's a letter here that we got from, looks like, it's in a picture today. It's a picture of little, Sally Thompson and her mommy down at the beach. And there they are. Now, you other kids have pictures of your mommies down at the beach. Why don't you send them in, old Barney? But that up the locker. Well, it's birthday time once again, right, Popo? That's right, Barney. And we want to say happy birthday today to little Freddie, little Jimmy, little Katie Sue, little Kelly Jean, little Betty, little Jerry, little Ronnie, little Peter. Peter. Oh, two Peters. I want to send out a special greeting today to my little boy, Davey. Davey's having his 11th birthday today, and I say happy birthday, Davey. Davey lives over there in Clinton with his mommy and his new daddy. Sorry I didn't get out to see you last weekend, buddy, but used to be Daddy was terrible tired last weekend. But I'll be out there this weekend, and I'll bring you your present. Okay, buddy? Okay. Don't worry, Martha, I won't stay. We don't want to embarrass new Daddy. New Daddy never gets tired. But old Mommy gets tired every now and then, right, Martha? But I just want you to know everything's fine with me, buddy. I got a new room down to Y.
Your Daddy never gets tired.
Oh, Daddy never gets tired. I was talking to Sam backstage.
Sam Blotner? Have you met Sam?
Oh, Sam's something else. I understand you. Yeah. I'm the only one in the world.
Sam was with us last night. I invited him to come back because he lives in Costa Rica now. And
yes, I heard all about
Did
Costa
you really?
Yes, I'm thinking of moving there, as a matter of fact. I think he has the right attitude.
Yeah. How are things going? What have you been?
Oh, I got big news.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. Everything's been happening.
Yeah.
Harlan Hosh is running for mayor of Danville.
Danville, Ohio.
Harlan Hosh. I bet you never thought that'd happen.
Harlan Hosh?
Harlan Hosh is running for mayor against David Palmer. They're both good friends of mine, and I wanted to meet because Harlan, I've been back there helping them out.
Did you grow up with them?
Yeah, Harlan was my truant officer in high school, and I owe him a few favors.
Right.
I promised him if I ever got a shot, I'd pay him back. I got, wasn't anything serious. Skipping school, and something about hubcaps.
Yeah. Who's the other fellow?
Then I setting Mrs. Busby on fire. Didn't help.
Tell us.
Harlan's having a little problem proving that he's not crazy. There's a guy that was in a primary.
Are these real names now?
Oh, yeah.
Because you see what can happen under the federal communication. We'll hear from Harlan's opponent demanding equal
David
time.
Palmer is Harlan's opponent.
Oh, say some nice things about Dave.
Oh, well, I was going to say something nice about
Good.
Because they're both good friends of mine. I've been helping them both.
Oh, good.
I've been going back there. As a matter of fact, they sent for me because there's a lot of snow. And I've been trying to be even with helping them both out in the race because they get me because I have a a talent when they give me some beer, and then I write both their names in the lines all over Danville.
Afraid that's where you were headed.
Yes. Well, I hold the record.
Yes.
I hold the record.
I don't think I want to hear about it.
Well, it's something that, I don't have a lot of records. In high school, I wrote the whole senior class.
Did you really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have that big a class, but, we couldn't get our hands on that much beer either. I was a classic at it, and I remember I wrote my name in my girlfriend's front yard.
Yeah. Don't tell me the end of that. Don't tell me the end of that joke.
But I've been helping both of them out.
Would you live in Danville?
Yeah, I
can't figure out where you live.
I lived in Danville, Illinois, but I worked. I was there for about a year, and then I went on the road and worked. I was in Michigan, and I come back, and my family they moved.
Oh.
And now we're trying to find out where they live. Which is, something that happened in high school. I went to school one day and my family...
When you came home and they were gone.
It's a little game that they have.
Yeah.
But Gaylord Hall, who was...
Gaylord Hall
was in the primary, and he's also a friend of mine. But Harlan can't prove, and neither can David, that are running, that they're not crazy. Gaylord almost made it, because Gaylord was crazy. They put Gaylord away. And what happens, they put him away, and then when they release you, you get this card to say you're all right.
Right.
Now, he's out and saying that both Gaylord and David are crazy. And they're saying, well, Gaylord's the one that's crazy. And he pulls out the card and says, I can prove I'm not crazy, and they don't have a card.
As I understand it, you're helping these two fellas.
Well, it's not easy.
I'm glad you're not against them, because that could be trouble.
Well, no, they're not. They're okay. So's Gaylord now.
Yeah, okay.
But I liked him a little better when he's crazy.
But they're both all right.
Oh, yeah. David and Harlan. And I'll let you know how it comes out.
Would you?
Because Danville we need some help back
Yeah, well, send the results immediately.
Yeah, I'll have a home for sale.
Would you? Okay. Well, is that still up for sale?
Yes.
All right, we'll take a short break, and we're coming right back. You haven't moved that yet, huh?
No!
For those of you who might not have seen last night's show, we had a gentleman by the name of Sam Blotner. Sam Blotner is not a professional entertainer, a gentleman who used to live in Maine and moved to Costa Rica, and he keeps in touch with us. The reason I have the chair here is because Sam brought this on last night as a gift, and there was rather a convoluted story about the former president of Costa Rica who had something to do with it. We never did find out exactly what was going on. So I invited Sam to stay over because he said after all it was 6,000 miles back to Costa Rica, so he's staying for an extra day. Would you welcome Sam Blotner? Hi, Sam. How are you?
Sam.
You met all the people back?
Nice to see you, Sam.
Tomlin. Good to see you again, Sam. So nice to see you.
I see you in the Costa Rica, but you speak Spanish.
Right.
Thank you.
Sam, welcome back.
We got to make it fast tonight.
Yeah.
Not much time.
What'd you do last night?
Huh?
What'd you do when you were here in Los
Fred
Angeles?
Goodnight, but he
Oh, yeah,
went
Fred
back to
Goodnight.
Costa Rica.
Was your friend we talked about last night?
He has a bar now, the El Toro Bar.
Has a bar?
He went back before they drank all his booze up, I think.
Uh-huh. Now, you started to tell me a story about this chair last night, about Don Pepe, who was the 3 times the president of Costa Rica. Did he have anything to do with his chair?
Yes. I took the chair over to his office to sit in.
Ah, that's it.
That was it.
We never got to that, you see.
We practically did. Did I show you his picture yet?
No.
Not yet.
Do you have it?
Yeah, you got it right here. You're holding it, remember?
This is
Don Pepe.
Oh, this is Don Pepe.
This is Don Pepe. Everybody should look at Don Pepe.
Yeah.
We should all stand up when we look at it.
Well, I don't know what's necessary here, but that's the former president of Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And he's sat in the chair.
Yes.
Oh, well, I see. That's the way
I told him he looked like Ricardo Montalban, is it?
Ricardo
He
Montalban.
felt very happy when they said that.
Uh-huh.
Because, it's Spanish, too, like Ricardo Montalban.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what did you do in Los Angeles last night? Did you go out on the town or something?
No, I usually go to bed about 8, 9 o'clock. But I had to watch the show,
Did you stay up and watch yourself last night?
I kind of got fatigued watching it.
Uh-huh.
It's quite late,
Yes, it is.
I had a telephone call at 1:15 in the morning. Some guy called me from Mobile, Alabama. He says he's a radiologist. doctor, an X-ray doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He said, anytime you're going through Mobile, give me a free X-ray. You're popular, Johnny.
That's worth the drive alone. You ought to pick that up. I would.
That's true. I'm not kidding you. Dr. Lotta.
You get some strange calls.
And his wife, they both talking on the telephone. Yeah.
And he wanted to give you free
X-ray anytime I'm going through.
Well, that's nice.
Two people called me today. One from Oklahoma City.
Uh-huh.
There's oil wells. Another guy called me from New Albany, Indiana, inquired about gold mines. I said, I have no gold mines, you know.
Right. Well, I suppose they hear Costa Rica, and they do have gold in Costa Rica, don't they?
Well, very little.
Little.
In the teeth, mostly.
What do you have here, Sam?
This is more or less a diploma. Would you care to see it? But I can't show it to the audience because the print is very small. I can't. This is a pretty good diploma in it.
I see.
See, senor.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I didn't see.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the chair now.
Well, there's more about the chair?
Well, no, I went to, I'll tell you the primary person. See, hi, Fred. I mean, I get him and Fred good night mixed up.
Yeah.
That's similar.
What is there more to say about the chair?
Well, there's a secret that goes with that chair.
A secret about the chair?
Don Pepe, I said, well, I didn't try to get my foot in the door, but Senor Vesco, Robert Vesco, came to Costa Rica a couple of years back.
Right. He's the one who
they said he
left
was
from
a
here
fugitive
because
and stuff like that.
Well, he still is a fugitive in this country, I
Well,
understand.
more or less, but I was a fugitive too, more or less. We're all running away from
No, I mean, if he comes back here, I think he's subject to arrest.
I don't believe he'll come back. With the
No,
money.
I don't think so. No, that's a good move right there.
He has no good reason to come back.
No, he has no good reason to come back, yeah.
You see, with $225 million, you go a long ways.
Yeah. You know. What's the cost to live in Costa Rica?
Quite reasonable. Bananas are still a penny apiece.
Really?
But Alka-Seltzers are quite high, though. I mean,
Just lay off the bananas, you won't need them.
That's right. Yeah. But getting back to premier... The change of subject.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but Don Pepe, I said, I asked him about Robert Vesco. I said, has he been an asset or liability to this country?
Mm-hmm.
He said, he didn't say he is an asset, but he said he will be an asset. Because he invested $20 million or more in government bonds in that country.
Mm-hmm.
He's bought lands and et cetera, and et cetera. And I said, what are my chances of talking with him? I said, I figured where he knew him, where he had business connections. Don Pepe made a $2 million, he borrowed $2 million his business from him.
Oh.
He didn't get it as a gift. He just borrowed it plus interest, see?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the Watergate business.
Oh, sure.
He has to pay it back in time.
Yes, he borrowed it, yeah.
But everybody knew it when he borrowed it. I mean, it wasn't nothing. You know.
Oh, I didn't.
So he borrowed the money, and it's business. So finally, I said, well, I would like very much to have a conversation with Senor Vesco, but I can't seem to get a hold of him. I've been trying for 2.5 weeks to call him on the phone. I've been calling his secretary. She isn't actually giving me the brush off, but she said Mr. Vesco is not available and stuff like that. See, but
That's a brush off.
more or less. But he has a farm. He has farms all over the country. See, and he could be on his farm doing something.
Could be, yeah. Did you ever get in touch with him?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. A week ago tonight, which is Thursday. This is Thursday tonight. This is 1 week anniversary. I was having my usual siesta. I usually take a little nap after noon, about an hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
The telephone rang. Somebody answered it in the house, and they didn't know who it was. And they said they'd like to speak with me. And I ran over to the phone, and the girl said, Mr. Vesco would like to talk with me. And I figured I was quite strange he would want to talk to me because for 3 weeks he's been he wasn't around basically. He might have just came back from someplace.
Yeah.
So he said, he's talked to me in English. He speaks good English, you know. He's
from here, yes.
Yeah. So,
He went right from here, I understand. So
I don't know where
imagine
he
he
came
forgot
from.
it that
He's
quickly.
quite a mysterious person.
Yes.
Basically.
So Mr. Vesco was on the phone?
Yeah, he started to talk with me. He called me by my first name. He evidently knew my first name. And he said, I would like you to talk with me, and do you know where I live? I said, I know the neighborhood you live in, but I've never been to your house, because when I used to go out there, it was all fields. I could buy for practically nothing. But since you live there, the land has gone up quite high, because wherever he buys stuff, they start inflating the price of this poor guy. A figure of speech, you know. They have to price it, see. But he built a house that cost $500,000, so he made the land more valuable around that area, see.
What did he want?
Well, he said, will you come over to my house? I said, well, I don't know where you live. He said, I live near the Russian embassy. And I said, gee, it's strange for a capitalist to live next to a communist as a neighbor. I mean, that's what kind of a democracy that country is, see? It's very democratic. So I started to, he said, I will send my chauffeur to your house, but where do you live? And I explained to him so many yards, so forth. It's a long story, so I'll cut it short. So I said...
It's too late for that.
You can say that.
Okay. Anyway, you went over to his house.
No, I didn't go to his house.
Oh, went to his farm.
I had to go and meet his chauffeur at a specific place. I drove over there. I was supposed to be there at 4 o'clock sharp, and I was there 5 minutes before. I usually get there pronto.
Muy pronto.
I was waiting. A Mercedes-Benz was supposed to meet me there. I told him my number of my vehicle. I had placa numeros pensionata 60. Pen 60 is my number. Vesco, incidentally, is a pensionata, too, like I am, see? Mm-hmm. We have pension. We're on the same boat, basically, only his boat is a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, I was waiting, and finally I said to myself, well, this guy is not going to come by to meet me and take me to his house. I waited from 4 o'clock to 4:45. I got rather impatient sitting there, see? So I said to myself, I'm going to try to find this man's house. So I drove to Curiadabat, which is on the road to Cartago. That's where remember the volcano I
Turn left at Allentown, right?
No. They're building the New Jersey Turnpike right by his house now.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Sam, time is limited now.
Yes,
you finally found Vesco.
No, I didn't find him yet. I'm driving. I asked people, where is the Russian embassy located in Spanish.
Right.
I didn't want to ask where Vesco house was because I figured they would probably give me the brush off.
Okay.
See? So I finally went towards the Russian embassy, and I drove by a very elegant...
Chào cả mọi người. Và hôm nay bên em lại về một chiếc Hyundai Accent. Chiếc xe tự động sản xuất 2018. Accent thì động cơ 1.4, phiên bản màu trắng. Chiếc này cũng rất là đen, là khi mà chuyến vừa rồi thì nó cũng đã bị bơi nội một chút, cách đây 4-5 tháng rồi. Tuy nhiên là hậu quả nó để lại thì các bạn biết rồi đấy. Con này được cái là mặt can lăng được độ lên rồi. Đấy, tay nắm cửa mạng chrome, lốp la răng còn rất là ok. Xi nhan tích hợp. Accent là một trong những dòng xe phân khúc hạng B, cạnh tranh với City, với Vios. Tuy nhiên là Accent thì giá khá là mềm. Các bạn cứ đến xem xe trực tiếp, bởi vì xe nó nỗi thì giá nó rẻ. Giá nó rẻ thì các bạn phải cân nhắc xem. Đấy. Đèn bi kết hợp với dải đèn nét tạo lên một chiếc xe rất là đẹp, đèn rất là sáng. Đấy. Nội thất bên trong này các bạn có thể thấy vô lăng đã được bọc, cần số rất là mới, da ghế rất là ok, DVD theo kem nồi. Đấy, phanh tay cơ. Con này thì cũng được chủ rất là giữ gìn. Tuy nhiên là cái vấn đề bơi nội thì chúng ta không thể biết trước được, nhiều khi nước nó dâng lên. Đây, hàng ghế sau da ghế rất là đẹp, điều hòa phía sau luôn. Nói chung tổng thể chiếc xe rất là ok mọi người nhé. Đấy. Đèn hậu thì rất là đời mới, nhìn rất là đẹp. Biểu tượng Hyundai. Tổng thể chiếc xe rất là ok mọi người nhé. Đấy. Em cứ quay cho mọi người xem, tuy nhiên là cũng không thể nào mà quay chi tiết được, bởi vì đây những chỗ đây, những chỗ đầu này đang bị sức răm, nhưng mà quay lên thì cũng không, các bạn không thấy được đâu. Vì vậy là các bạn cứ đến trực tiếp xem xe, đi thử, test động cơ, mọi thứ của em nó. Sau đó thì chốt thì chúng ta mới bắt đầu làm thủ tục và sang tiền. Bên em không nhận cọc trước mọi người nhé. Vì vậy là mọi người cứ yên tâm. Mua bán các dòng xe nỗi này thì nếu mà nhiều khi ở bác cứ chốt qua mạng, xong rồi đôi khi là đến nơi các bạn bảo tại sao nó lỗi nặng thế. Vì vậy là cứ đến trực tiếp xem có đỗ lỗi như thế có chấp nhận được không. Chứ bây giờ thì rất là khó, bởi vì xe nỗi mà chúng ta phải chấp nhận thôi. Và với một chiếc xe mà nỗi như này thì bên em ra bán một mức giá là 349 triệu. Đấy. Bơi lội trong vòng 4 tiếng. Tuy nhiên là đương nhiên là bơi nội thế nào thì chúng ta vẫn phải xử lý rồi. Rất là bơi nội thì là gọi là rất là nặng rồi. Vì vậy là có một mức giá là 349 triệu mọi người nhé. Đấy, các bạn cứ cân nhắc, nếu chốt được thì các bạn đến qua bên em. Do đó thì chúng ta test thoải mái, sau đó thì chúng ta mới chốt thì chúng ta mới sang tiền. Ai mua liên hệ sớm với em. Xin chào mọi người. ạ.